Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Well, you're joining us, meaning Project 365, and we are on day 43. And we're just so happy to have you where we can express, share some hope, encouragement, and some inspiration. I am Portia Wheatley. I am the founder and president of a nonprofit organization acknowledged as Trophy of Life, where we have the distinct pleasure of rendering hope and encouragement to the world. And we are grateful to God that He's trusted us. He's put this in our hands, and we are able to do just what He asked us to do. Well, let's welcome our co host.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
Takara Swan. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, we will welcome our guests momentarily, but I wanted to ask if you would take the time to go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. In order for us to take this message of hope, encouragement, and inspiration around the world, we need your help. So that's what my request is to you, that you would go there and subscribe. And even many of the messages that we present to you, we ask that you would share them. Someone needs to be encouraged. Someone needs some inspiration, and someone definitely needs to be hopeful for tomorrow and the next week and the next month and the next year from here on out. So again, help us do that, to share the word of hope, encouragement, and inspiration around the world. Well, I have my special guest on today in the person of Lauretta Halstead. Welcome, Lauretta.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. Hello to you and to Takira and to everyone.
To everyone that hears this, I'm telling you, I am so excited to have Lauretta with us. It's something about when she presents, what she presents, and how she presents it. She has a way of she thinks so different. I don't know. I don't even know. God gave you a different kind of brain. So you can, it's a good thing, but it's different. I mean, everyone knew how to quote the 23rd Psalms. And we've been knowing that since we've been walking into adulthood. But you give the 23rd Psalms to Lauretta Halstead. She'll she she brings it out in such a different way. She expounds upon it um, in a way that it leaves you scratching your head. I knew that scripture, but she just brings it out a different way, in a way that calls you to think and think outside of the box, but think in a way that would be so liberating and inspirational to you. So I'm so grateful to have her, where she's going to bring us a word to enlighten us, empower us, such profound word and illuminating. So I'm just grateful to have you as my guest on today. And you have the platform. I am excited to release the platform to you. You got it, sis.
Thank you so much, Portia. I really appreciate this opportunity to be here and to share with you and Takira. You guys are like Batman and Robin together, and I just love the way that you are interacting together and the project that you're doing, which I wholeheartedly support and appreciate. Now, I don't know that I can do any of what you just said, that I will do, but what I will do and what I am able to do is just to do as we were taught as children in church, is just come as you are.
Yeah.
So this is a come as you are moment. And the subject that I'm speaking about today, you wanted me to speak about the goats, right? So we
And
want
anything else you want to bring up?
okay, we want to talk about the goats and trees. Those who know me, well, a little bit actually, or if we've spent any time together, will recognize how much I enjoy nature and the things that nature speaks to me. One of my most favorite concepts in the Bible is how the first things come to us naturally and then spiritually.
Mm.
So I'm typically a person that will back into the spirit, if you will, um, from the information, the sounds that I get from that which is around me. And I had an occasion, not too well, it's been a couple of years now, I think 2 years now, I think, where a friend of ours had gone on a trip to Africa, to Morocco. And while she was there, she was sharing what her experience was. And she said she saw something. And when she saw something, she said she immediately thought about me. And she took a picture of it because she knew that I would just love looking at it. So she sent me this picture, which you said I could show. I'm going to show it now.
Mhm.
Okay, this is a picture that she brought me back from, that she took. Am I holding it okay?
Yes,
Yes.
perfect. Yes.
Okay. As you
Oh,
can see,
Hmm.
these are African goats.
Okay.
They're Moroccan goats. And they're not standing on the side of a mountain. They're not standing on the edge of any type of cliff, nor drinking water from a stream. What they have done is they climbed a tree. And so she was describing how, as you drive along in different places, you could see these goats in trees.
A goat in a tree.
So I thought she was, at first I'm like, yes, very funny how you're trying, it's some sort of camera trick or something. And it wasn't. And she showed it to me, and I experienced it almost, to tie into what you said, Portia, almost as a manifestation of my thought process.
Mm.
And so, what I took from that, I wanted to know after I closed my mouth from the amazement of seeing it, something that looked like an illusion that was so real, of a bunch of goats standing in a tree. Squirrels trample trees, yes, birds hang out in trees, but not goats. So I wanted to understand what it was about these goats climbing the tree. So I got some lessons from the goats as I call upon my Dr. Doolittle spirit, I guess, to speak to me to see what these animals had to teach me. Certainly they weren't there just for no reason.
Right.
And one of the first things that I got as a lesson from the goats was that you cannot climb with both feet on the ground.
Mm.
They did not seem to go into a meditation or come together in a huddle to figure out, can this branch hold me? Do I belong? Can we go up there? Can we go onto the top of the tree, or do we have to stay around the bottom of the tree? Now, they had a reason, which I left out, why they go into these trees. I'm sure many, if not all of you, have heard of argan oil. You see it is in shampoo, it's in skincare products, and it's also something that is in food. It's so expensive and rare that it's also called liquid gold. The
Mm.
argan oil is called liquid gold. Now, one of the reasons why it was so expensive is because it was so hard to get this oil. So how do you get this oil? You have it was a nut, and very, very, very difficult for them to crack the nut in order to get to the seed, which to get to the oil that was inside, which is the argan oil.
Hmm.
So what they discovered, the goat's digestive system was built in such a way that it could eat the argan fruit. They would eat the fruit, and then the seed they would excrete or poop out, if you will.
Gotcha.
And then from the collected pooped out seeds, you have this huge multi-million-dollar industry called the argan oil industry.
Out of the poop.
So they wanted these argan nuts so much that they would go wherever they had to go to get them. So the argan fruit was at the top of the argan trees.
Mm.
So, well, if it's up there, let's go get it. So that's how the goats would climb a tree, which seems odd for a goat, and that's what they would do. They would go up to the top of the tree if necessary.
Yes.
As you can see, go to the top of the tree to get their fill of this argan fruit. And then when they would come down and excrete it, it also created an industry
Mm.
for the poor. There were a group of Berber women who were, I mean, really super, super poor. And it became for them an entrepreneurial opportunity where they created businesses where after the goats digested the fruit from around it, they could then take it and crush it. It was crushable once it came through the goat. Don't miss that point. Once it came through the goat, then it was usable for these old so-called peasant Berber women living in poverty to crush these nuts and then create a livelihood, not just barely, a great, nice livelihood for
Yes.
themselves and their family.
Mm.
So that first lesson is that if they didn't climb up there, they would not have been able to get to the argan fruit. So our first thing we need to remember is that what you cannot climb with both feet on the ground.
Mm.
Lesson number two, I want to talk a little bit about passion. The scripture says, as a man or woman thinks in his or her heart, so is she. So I'll say it a little bit different way, that what that says to me is you shall have what you think about. You shall have what you think about. I had a dream one night and I was dreaming all sorts of crazy things. And obviously started to speaking in the dream. I was in my dream asking questions of different people. And then the answer was coming as it was just coming. It was like over a loudspeaker. You shall have what you think about. You shall have what you think about. And it was so strong that I ended up, I guess I started saying it out loud. And then I started to say it so loud that I woke myself up and I was saying, you shall have what you think about. Of course, my husband was asking me, what is the problem? Please stop, whatever, please. But that was the what I heard and saw. I could see the voice,
Mhm.
but I didn't know where it was coming from. But that was the lesson that it said, you should have what you think about. And what I learned from that, and what the goats also showed me, in their going up to that tree, the central question becomes, who told you that? Who told you that you couldn't climb that tree? Who told you that? So as I started to rethink a lot of things in my life and encourage others to do the same, it really is, you should have what you think about. Why? Because we are shaped by our thoughts. We are shaped by our thoughts, but we're driven by what we believe about what we think. We're driven by what we believe about what we think. And that drive is passion, really. For example, we've all heard Dr. King and his message lifting up the words, we shall hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. So we think that's true. We agree. We agree with that. But what about when you believe that's true for everybody? I believe that's true for everybody except me.
Right. Right.
Because why? Because I'm not as smart as Elder Portia. I'm not I'm not as quick as Takira. I'm not as rich as this one. I'm not as fast as that one. So although we think, because they told us to think that all men and women are created equal, that we're all created equal, we don't believe that. I
Mm.
think it, but I don't believe it. How do you know? Because I allow myself to be blocked, and even by being blocked by my fears. Why? Because I don't believe that all of us are created equal. I think it because it says it right there, and it's true, and it's supposedly it folded into the law, but I don't believe it. So it's not only what you think, but it's also what you believe about what you think. Chaka Khan said it to me a little bit in a way that's a little easier to understand. She said, I'm every woman. It's all in me.
Yes.
Anything that you want done, baby, I can do it naturally. I believe that because Shaka Khan said that. I think that that's true about her.
Mhm.
But what about me? So the second point that I learned from these goats, first, they didn't listen if somebody did, which they were telling them at first to not climb the trees because you might break these branches, but they weren't thinking about getting permission to
Mm.
go after the fruit that they wanted to go after. We can be told, for example, that uh, when you're told that you can't do something, they say in school, students live up to the expectation of the teacher. The student will live up to the expectation of the teacher. So if the teacher thinks, you know what, you can learn this, you're able to go into this, you could go into the next level and take algebra 2 and trigonometry and calculus. Or if the teacher says, no, you need to stay here with multiplication and division because you can't, your mind is not built that way to go forward to do this or that. You can do that, you can't do this because somebody tells you and puts that in your mind that you cannot do it. So you can be dictated to by something that is outside of yourself. And the next thing, and probably the final thing that I want to say, because I know we're supposed to be on time here,
Go ahead.
is
No,
I
go
want
ahead.
to talk a little bit about something very important that I think that the goats represent for us. The goats represent the difference between understanding and understanding.
Mm.
Understanding and understanding. Understanding is the knowledge that you stand under. We like to talk a lot about thinking outside of the box, but really it's not outside of the box because really the next thought is in another, it's just a different box. Uh, and because you can't anything, think about anything in terms of freedom or justice or anything that doesn't have parameters, that doesn't have boundaries. There's no such thing as freedom without boundaries.
Mm.
So when you understand, you stand under a particular knowledge, then you will believe it when they tell you, for example, that you're made in the image of God. When Lazarus died, Mary, his sisters told Jesus, you know what, if you had been here, our brother would not have died. Why did they say that? Because they understood that Jesus could resurrect he could resurrect Lazarus. He is a resurrector, so he could resurrect Lazarus. He could have Lazarus get up if he wanted to. They understood, they totally understood that. And it was in that knowledge that they called for Jesus in the first place because they understood that. But if they understood that, Jesus came back with a response to let you know that he was understanding. His response was not, I am a resurrector, but I am
I
the
am.
resurrection.
Yes.
When I come around Lazarus, Lazarus almost doesn't have any choice but to get up. I am the resurrection. The understanding statement in the Bible says that God is love, not just a lover, but I am love. So when God shows up, love shows up. When we look at it and we look at these things over and over, and we are we made in the image of God? We think, yes, we're made, we understand that I'm made in the image of God. Portia, you're made in the image of God. Takira is made in the image of God. But when you understand it and you stand in it, what are you going to say? You're going to say, I am the
I
image of
am.
God.
Mm-hmm.
I am, I am love. When I show up, love shows up. I am compassionate. When I show up, compassion shows up. I am, I'm, whatever word you want to put there. The word that you put after I am needs to speak to your understanding. And once you begin to understand, you will start to experience yourself as enough.
Right.
You are enough by yourself. I'm enough. Not to say that we don't need people. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm not what I'm saying that at all. What I am saying is that if you, Portia, you fully become yourself, that's gonna what's coming off of you and what's coming out of you, just like it was for the goats, is gonna feed me. It's gonna feed the people that are around you. Takira, if Takira is fully and steps into and understands Takira, what's coming out of her, stuff that she just doesn't even need anymore. It's waste to her, but life to me. It's life to me. What's coming out of you is going to be life to me. So as we begin to stand in the truth, not just under it, but in it. Someone who understands, for example, will tell you, um, uh, don't get distracted by the things that happen along the way. Don't get distracted. Keep your eyes focused on the destination.
Mm-hmm.
That's because I understand that I'm headed somewhere. But I want to offer to you understanding. If you understand, you'll recognize that the journey is the destination. The journey is the destination. When you get to your said destination, just think about it. When you get to the destination that we talk about, when we get to our destination, guess what we're going to be?
Right.
Dead. The journey is the destination.
Yep.
What you're gathering along the way, the way up the tree for the goats to get the fruit. It was the journey that's teaching
Yes.
and informing my living in this world. Their way up the tree informs my living with my feet on the ground. So the scripture that Jesus talks about, and it says that you have not because you ask not. You and I both know, the three of us know that, we have probably asked Jesus for job, asked the Lord for a job, asked the Lord for a car, asked the Lord for a friend, asked the Lord for some of those brand new fly glasses that Portia is wearing every day that's blowing everybody's mind. But what about understanding and knowledge?
Yeah.
There's some things we don't have wisdom about because we don't ask.
That's right.
You have not the wisdom because you ask not the question.
Mm-mm.
And so when you ask, you have not because you ask not. So if you want some, you can have some.
That's right.
My nephew, no matter what he used to get, he used to always come to me and say, Auntie, I have this. If you want some, you can have some. So now we have the God of our creation saying to us regarding wisdom, regarding love, regarding compassion, regarding strategy, regarding insight, regarding freedom, regarding justice, regarding virtue, regarding hope. If you want some, you can have some.
Wow.
You can have some if you want some. And so that is the lesson that I've learned as I looked at my friends over here, the goats, climbing up, not being restricted by any if, would, should, or could. No Lou Rawls in here. No if I coulda, woulda, shoulda. They saw the fruit and they went up to get it.
Mm.
And God doesn't waste anything. Who knew that there would be a multi-million dollar industry, a multi-million dollar industry that was going to be coming out of goat excrement? Can I say, did I sound nice the way I said that? How, who knew that that would happen? So my question, what's coming out of you?
Ooh.
What is the quality of waste that's coming out of you?
Mm.
So someone else is waiting for you to excrete something that they need to survive.
Wow.
If you don't know how, you have not because you ask not. And if you want to know, you can have some if you want some.
Loretta. Loretta. Oh
Any
my.
questions?
Whew. Now, look, we'll check the we'll check Facebook or the chat room shortly. But that thought of what's coming out of you, the waste, but nothing is wasted. And then it's being a multi-million dollar industry out of your waste. It is the waste is valuable. Oh my God, that is something to really think about. Much of what you said is like, I was intentional about going, because my facial expressions.
I love your facial
But
expression.
it is so good when the word that you just shared. I mean, if we come back and listen to that and let it soak in, many thoughts will come to mind. One in particular, who told you you could not do something?
Mhm.
And that person that may have told you you could not do it is the same person that never done it before anyway.
Mhm. Mhm.
But who told you you couldn't? So when you come back and listen to this again, those in our audience, when you come back and listen to it again, you think, oh, that thought I was going to do, that idea that I had, but nobody else has done it. But who told me that I can't do it? All we have to do is ask God. You want it? Ask God. You need it? Ask God, and He'll supply it. The other thing was,
Can I say one thing?
absolutely.
Don't get confused between the person who's telling you that you can't do it. Perhaps they can't do it, but that has nothing to do with you.
Nothing. Nothing. And in this day, people are afraid those that think they have a hold on you are afraid to release you to be, because they're afraid that you're going to supersede them or go ahead of them or be more prosperous or um, 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 more powerful or whatever, more than them. But I tell you, even with the thoughts that may come your way, because I'm not for sure if I can do that. Those positive affirmations. What was that you were saying in your dream? That
You shall have what you think about. It was that cadence. You
wow,
shall have what you think about.
wow, wow. Oh my God, just thinking about that, and then you put it into a positive frame of mind, and you begin to repeat it, and then you begin to believe it, and then you begin to see it. Oh yeah, yeah. That's it.
It
Oh
might get you kicked out of bed, but it's helpful for life though.
God, this is good. I have to make sure I go back and write my notes down. Kira, what we got says, what we got between
Hey,
between the daughter, between
so Miss Loretta, I don't know if you know this, but you are one of my favorite, like, teachers, presenters, just one of my favorite people. Not only because you're so genuine, but because you have allowed yourself to be who you're supposed to be. So you just talking and teaching, like it's nothing,
that is nothing.
provides so much life for me. Like every time I hear you talk or teach anything, I learn so much. Like I have so many notes, and I'm gonna have to go back over what you've said.
Thank you.
And it's just so funny how, I don't know if you know, how you can change someone else's life in like 15 minutes. Like, can you believe you changed like a life in 15 minutes? That's what you do. So I'm just so thankful for you, just to get that out the way. Um, So your 3 points were amazing. I love the story about the goats. I love the picture of the goats, because if you just said it without me like seeing it, I was like, okay, a goat in a tree. Like, I've never seen that before. But just because I've never seen it before, it doesn't mean it's never happened. So I appreciate that. So number one, we're just gonna go over your points real quick. Number one, so people, if you are watching and you need to get a pen, get the pen now, write this down. Her first point was, you cannot climb with both feet on the ground. Okay, so I have one way I am interpreting that for me in my life. I can't climb a tree with both feet on the ground. Like those goats, they were climbing the tree to get their food, to get their nourishment, and it provided all of this wonderful surplus. I can't be who I'm supposed to be and change lives if I have 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot up. I can't be unsure of myself. I can't be unsure of what I'm going to do. That's one way I can interpret that. Number two, you talked about passion, and you shall have what you think about. What are we thinking about? What are we taking up our time with? What are we consuming our minds with? What are we thinking about? And one thing I really like that you said it was a difference between you said we're shaped by our thoughts, but we're driven by what we believe. So what you think and what you believe are two different things, and if we can just start believing what we're supposed to be and just start being, then it'll be so much easy for us to walk into our purpose and what we're supposed to do. It's kind of like I kind of compare this a little bit to like a child. Have you ever seen like a child, like a real child who doesn't know any better, and they want something and they're going to do whatever they have to do to get to it. They don't care if they fall or hurt themselves, because they know, okay, that's something I want and I know I can go get it. And you're like, no, like, don't crawl off the couch but they don't care. They're focused. They're like, well, I can do that. Like, you can't tell me I can't do that. They don't know that's what they're doing, but that's what they're doing. And that's what my niece does. My 7-year-old niece, you can't tell her some things. And I don't discourage her, but she like thinks, Aunt Kara, did you know I am super fast and I can go like this to here in 2 seconds? And go ahead and do it, because because once you truly believe something in here, there's nothing that can stop you from doing it. Because when you truly believe in something, it's almost like you are stepping into it. It's like, I thought I could do it, but now that I believe I can do it, it's like I'm already there. I'm just doing the motions because it's what I'm supposed to be, it's what I'm supposed to do. And the third thing, you said that the goats, they represented the difference between understanding and understanding. I really loved that.
Yeah,
That's my first time really hearing a breakdown of understanding. And if we could just start understanding, and basically you can take that as just being, like, is. You said God is love, like I am love, start saying those affirmations of what you are, who you are, and believing it, and knowing without a shadow of a doubt that this is what is true. And yeah.
It was good. It was good.
Yeah, it was so good. I really appreciate that. So viewers, I think you should just really hear that question she asked at the end, like, what's coming out of you? What's coming out of you? And if you don't like what's coming out of you, how can you change it? What can you do to change those things that you're thinking, and those things that are consuming your life that aren't what you want them to be? It's so easy to do. And the hardest thing is just to take that first step. Just do it. Nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. Go ahead, Mr. Word. I'm sorry.
Wrong season for us to be constipated.
Yeah.
Wrong season.
Yep. It's like, let it flow. Hear from God what you want to do. Now, I always say, don't over spiritualize something. We always have to put in some work somewhere along the line. But just go with the flow. Present your thoughts, what you want to do, to God, and then he'll begin to download it. Do this, do that. And even if it's something that you've never done before, do it. And some people say, do it afraid, do it with questions, still do it. Because if it's in God's will, he's going to make sure you succeed at it. So
Yes, get those feet off the ground, both of them. Don't straddle the fence. Come on, just do it. Either in or out. Just jump in.
And resist. This is the last thing I'm going to say. Resist the temptation to put in God's hands what God has intentionally, deliberately put in yours.
Okay. You see how she leaves you with,
I know. She always leaves you thinking. And then, if you've ever heard her speak in person, she just walks off like, nothing's happened. Like she didn't just change the whole room, just like, thank you. And she goes and sits down.
And something like this is so powerful, especially when you can sit and absorb it and let it sink into your spirit, into your soul, into your thoughts, into your very being. And then you shut out everything. And there's a refreshing of illumination that comes out like, that was in me. Yes, you have greatness in you. Let me share. You have greatness in you. Just take time to stop listening to everybody else and sit with what God has already put into you. So I'm looking for some of our audience to share some of the great things that you're ready to do. Get one foot off the ground. Let's start to climb. Who told you you can't? Who told you? I had to do. Anyway, anything else? Lauretta, Dr. Lauretta, you have anything else?
I'm good. I thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm blessed by the invitation and my time with the two of you. And thank you for your kind words as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you.
Yes, we do.
Last but not least, I think about her presentation. It's so cool, calm, and collected.
Yes.
And all
just
that.
Just like she is.
Yes, all the time. And then, and then between, she doesn't do shade, but then again, you kind of had to watch it because you're like, did she just get, like with a glass of iced tea right there or something, she's like that all the time. But we appreciate it. And the last thing, I think about the anointing that's on her life in such a different way than someone that hollers and screams. And I mean, nothing against that at all. Because when I get in, some of those, that mood or that mode, I do the same thing, but I'm learning to sit with myself and who God has made me to be. And there are times, and especially in this pandemic and being away from church, there are a lot of voices out there. There are a lot of voices, and we cannot listen to every voice that is loud and really have nothing to say. So I admonish you to pray about even who you listen to. And but most of all, don't listen to them so much that you don't go to God and listen to him. Okay? I love you. I love you. And what was that you said in your dream? What was that again? We're going to close out on that.
You shall have what you think about.
And on that note, we shall see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless.